Hi, and welcome to Soul Fuel. I love that name because
I know.
we fuel your soul. My name is Marcella from Crank It Up Coaching.
And I'm
And
Yvette Carrion from Pivot Point Life Coaching and Trainings. And as Marcella said, we will fuel your soul.
yes, and I'm from the DC area in the United States.
And I'm from the Philippines in the Pasig City area. So,
This
Marcella, what are we going to be talking about today? I'm so excited.
I know, but before we talk about it, I just want you to know, I want our audience to know that we are part of Ecology, the Academy of Modern Applied Psychology. And what we believe is that in order for us to coach other people, we have to live it. We have to live it.
Exactly.
Applied psychology. So that's where
True.
we met, and it's been a blessing because Yvette has been such a true friend to me. And I was so happy when she agreed to come on this this channel with me to talk about primarily the book that I have written called The Self-Love Workbook for Women. And
Mhm.
that's what we're primarily going to talk about, but I'm sure there'll be other topics that we'll discuss. So today, what we are talking about are the myths. Well, first of all, the question is self-love selfish? And then we are
Mm.
going to tackle those questions, those myths that might be holding you back. In our last episode, and we will have a link somewhere on this page or definitely in the description from our last and our first uh, conversation. So there we talked about five different
Yeah.
myths, and today we're going to talk about the five other ones.
Wow.
All right. So the fifth one is self-love a destination, or people believe self-love is a destination. They believe that self-love is a destination.
Oh, geez. Self love is a destination, and that is a myth. Why? Because self love is an ongoing journey. You don't stay stuck. I mean, as Heraclitus said, change is the only thing that's constant. Well, aside from death, but change, yeah. And it's impossible to love yourself and not change. It goes, it goes with change. It goes with being matured, deciding to change who you are, and then deciding to discover again how you can be a better person. Yeah, right.
Yes.
What we learn in
Mhm.
ecology, the map is not the territory, it is just a map.
Mhm.
When you're in the
Mhm.
territory, life happens. And that's
That's
part
right.
of like, yeah, that's self love is not a destination.
That's
What
right.
can you say to what can you add to that, Marcella?
I just think about when wrote the book,
Yeah.
and so many times I was like, "Ooh, I don't do that anymore. And I don't do that anymore." And so what I realize is sometimes we're changing every day. I
Yeah.
would imagine, like,
True.
really, we're changing all the time. And so some things that you may set out to do just don't work for you anymore, you know?
True.
And so when you grow and you're doing certain things that work and then they don't work, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your plan. It means that I might have to tweak it a little bit.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. I love that what you said. There's not some that there's something wrong with you, which a lot of people equate with, oh, I did bad, or I have to change, or I discovered something that's not working,
Mhm.
or that I don't like this other person anymore, or not as much, or I find this person toxic, and that
Mm.
means I'm being bad person, because it's part of growing up. It's part of the change, the
Mhm.
situation, the toxic
Mhm.
people, and that is the destination that we always shift. We
Yes.
shift from destinations that cause us stress, negative emotions, negative thoughts,
Mhm.
and that's
Mhm.
part of self love. And it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you have to stick with a situation because you love. It's part of showing that you are patient, that all these virtues, of course not, right? Self
Right.
love
Yeah.
comes in discovering that, wait, I don't feel okay and I want to move
Mhm.
on. And
Yes.
that's shifting destinations. Wonderful. I like that. That's true.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it defines who you are.
Right. Yeah, self-love is a journey. It's a journey, a never-ending journey. Because as
Yeah.
long as we live, our needs change all the time. And so self-love is recognizing that my needs have changed and that I need to accommodate those new aspects of my life, you know?
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
we grow, we discover new things about ourselves. And
Yeah.
so, what may have worked in the past, this is kind of like what I just said, what may have worked in the past may not work right now.
That's so true. And even for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So for other people, self-love is also being sensitive to other people who may
Mm-hmm.
not also want to be with us, but are just being
Right.
kind. And
Right.
it's part of like being sensitive to others as well, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I see it when you say self-love is not a destination. I mean, to debunk the myth that self-love
Right.
is a destination, it's also considering other people's feelings. Like, okay, I think
Yeah.
I've done my share here, and the
Mm-hmm.
welcome is already unwelcome. And it is time to leave good memories and move on. That's
Yes.
also of self love.
Mm-hmm. Yvette, what came to my mind, and because we've had conversations about this, is, my godmother and how I was feeling at one time, and I was really feeling unloved, to tell you the truth.
Mm,
And so my self-love was like, you know what? I'm going to tell her, and why I have not been really reaching out to her, because it was a big span of
mhm,
time. I think even a couple of years that I had not talked to her
mm,
because of the way I was feeling, right?
yeah.
And but I grew to a different I grew to realize that maybe my expectations wasn't really correct. She's older, and so maybe I should be the one to reach out, because I think my issue was that I would reach out and she would not respond. So
Mm,
I grew to the point where I felt like I really want her in my life. So I need to change. And if I want her in my life, which is a part of self-love, is to pivot and say, I can be the one to reach out to her all the time. That's fine. And I am telling you, that's what I did. And our relationship is so good now, and
wonderful.
um and so the point that I'm trying to make is, if self-love was a destination, I would have left it at without reaching out and say, I've arrived, I have decided that I don't want a relationship with her. And that would have been the end of it. But it's not.
Hmm.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
Wonderful. Yeah. And people listening out there could even relate, um, they would say, oh, I'm not alone in this thing. and
Yeah.
in this feeling alone, in this feeling that I have to give up because I love myself. But then actually loving yourself is also time to think inside and then
Mm-hmm.
decide is it something that I want to do again,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to do continuously, or something that I want to keep going for in my life. So that's wonderful. Thanks for
Yes.
sharing that, Marcella. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So let's move on. We spent a
Yep.
lot of time on that one. Let's move on
Mm-hmm.
to six. No, this is seven. Seven. Let me get my hands straight.
Seven.
Seven is
Seven.
self love is only about pampering yourself. We kind of touched
Ooh.
on that the last time.
Yeah. Yeah. We women, we love spa. We love like, okay, I need to go to the spa. I need self-love. I need self-care. And people are thinking that um that's selfish. But actually, when you're treating yourself to all these things, it's also a way of letting your physical body rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good because, well, prevention is always good instead of getting sick,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is so true, Yvette. But self-love is also more than pampering yourself. I love to get
Yeah.
pampered. I love
I
to get pampered.
know. Yeah.
But self-love is more than that. It's more than that. Self-love sometimes may even cause you to cry,
Mm.
and it's not just, it is a part of self-love, but it's not just, uh, laying back in a hot tub and with
Yeah.
the jets and candles and you know that's a part of
True.
self-love, but that's not
Yeah.
all self-love is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you pamper yourself also, um, aside from having that physical uh rest for your own body, it's also the emotional thing. Because when you
Yeah.
do time set for yourself, you only not you also nurture your mind and your emotions,
Yes.
right? Because it's a time to be
Mm-hmm.
quiet. And
Mm-hmm.
we really have to, not only women, but even men, they also
Mm-hmm.
need to have time of quiet and peace. And
Yes.
even pampering yourself, that's when you just shut up because you cannot talk and talk because, ooh, I want to enjoy the moment quietly. you know,
Yeah.
it's a rest of the mind, it's the rest of the body, and it's really a recharge. And I don't think that is a bad thing. Do you think it's a bad thing?
No, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It says self-love is only about pampering. See, so it's not a bad thing to pamper yourself. It's not a bad thing to reflect and to, do the girly things that we love to do. But
Yeah.
it self-love is more. It's more.
Yeah. And what keeps so what was brought to my mind right now when you're saying that is that when you actually pamper yourself, you learn also how to, oh, also this is how it feels. I'm gonna do
Hmm.
it and pass it on, right,
Yeah.
to my
Yeah.
partner, to someone I love.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's really, again, going back to that cup that is empty, cannot give anything. So you give from your overflowing cup.
Yes. I love that idea. It reminds me somebody told was teaching some kind of, it was a lesson, but that's what they were talking about. Uh, Actually, they were talking about living in the overflow. So, can you imagine
Mm,
just like having a saucer and a cup on top? and it's just overflowing. And because this is what used to happen. I don't think we do it that much now because like I use a thermos, but in the back when they had teacups and the teacup
Yeah.
would be filled to the top and it would overflow to the saucer, and then you would like sip out of the saucer. And
Yeah.
that's how the person was saying that's how we should live. We should live in the overflow where we have so much abundance that we're sipping from the saucer. And
Yeah.
when we, and to relate it to what you're saying, is that when we are able, when our cup is full, we're able to fully share ourselves
Yes, that is
and
so
sip
true.
from that saucer together.
Yeah. And everybody's happy.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
All
next,
right.
that's
Eight.
wonderful.
Eight. Self love is always easy. And
Oh
when I,
my, if it were easy, then everybody would just go for it and nothing
yeah,
good comes easy,
nothing good comes easy. Isn't that the
right?
truth?
I know that is what we
Yeah,
have learned, and that's what our elders have been telling us. You have to work
yeah,
hard. Even in
yeah,
your self-love, you have to work hard because it is not only being relaxed and chill and doing all nothing. It's actually a continuous effort to decipher within ourselves, are we doing okay? And that's hard because we are
yeah,
filled with so many
sometimes.
masks, right? That
Right,
I'm fine, I'm
right.
fine, I'm okay, just move on, move on.
Mm-hmm,
But then we make choices. We
mm-hmm,
decipher, we make choices, and that's not easy
mm-hmm,
because often when your cup is full and you
mm-hmm,
just want to share, it's also not easy. Like, when is the boundary when people will be taking advantage of you?
mm-hmm.
That-
Yeah,
right? Or that is not, well, on the other side of that also is that if they do take advantage of us, then it is not upon us because what we do is we just share from our abundance.
right. That's right. We share from our abundance. Yeah, you know, when you are loving yourself requires reflection,
Mm,
requires you to do some deep introspection to find out what's going on in you and with you.
true.
Um, and sometimes it's not easy because, you know, I went somewhere, I went to this pampering thing. I am retired Air Force, and they had a Veterans Women's Spa Day. And there was this lady there, um, and she, I don't know, I don't really remember exactly what her title is, but we were talking, and she said that I need to sit in my stuff more, because I am a really positive person. So anything negative, I'll spin it around and make it positive. And
Yes.
I don't really remember a lot of negative things that have happened to me, but that's not always good. That is not
Yeah.
always good. And what she was saying is that it's good to sit in the bad for a while and feel it and know what it feels like and find out why whatever happened happened instead
Mm,
of like not sitting in it and just moving on to the next thing, which is what I tend to do. And, I could relate because I had a very bad childhood and I don't remember a lot. And so I think that that is a mechanism that I use to be able to cope. And
mm,
so self love is not always easy. It's not always easy because you and me and Yvette have to figure out what's going on in here. What is going on
Exactly.
so that we
True.
can love ourselves?
Yeah. And love ourselves truly, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. So, point nine is you have to earn self love.
Wow. How can you earn self-love? Can you expound on that, Marcella?
Well, that's a myth. You don't have to earn self love. We
Exactly.
are, you know what? What we have to do is we already have self love. We just need to pull out all the junk that's covering up the
True.
self love.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, true. You don't even have to earn it because, it's inside you already.
Yes.
Yeah. As you said, you just have to pull out all this junk covering, because in life, ever since I think as we grow up, when we start, actually, I think when we become teenagers, when we start putting up fences, putting up
Right.
masks so that people will like us. And then we go to college and people will like, okay, so that my professors will like me, I will be okay and a student. Or at work, so people will like you. And that's where people pleasing enters again. And
Mm-hmm.
to have that need to be liked. So I think self love is something inside that when you said a while ago that myth that we debunked about
Mm-hmm.
self-love as being easy, it's not easy because when you sit on that chair and sit on those emotions, on all those negative things that have happened to us, actually it's not easy. A lot of that comes with acceptance and a realization that you know what, self-love is not to be earned because it is inside. I just have to
Yes.
find it somewhere. Where is it? Where is it in my trunk? It's here somewhere. You don't earn it.
Yes.
It's been there all along. We just have
Yes.
to really take time. That's
Mm-hmm.
why it's not
Yeah.
easy, right?
That's
Because
right.
uh, it takes a lot of self work, and then when you realize that, you accept.
Yeah.
Acceptance is a big thing about self love. Like, oh, so
Yes.
this is the reality. This is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these
Mm-hmm.
masks, all these defense mechanisms that I have put so that I could protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
I remember about vulnerability, right? When I'm talking of defense mechanism, when you remove
Mm-hmm.
all these defenses and you see yourself vulnerable, I think that is not easy, and that is self-love as well, because then you open yourself and invite people who are real, who are authentic, to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Yes.
those who cannot accept that, the true you, the real you, and they find like, oh, you're not easy to you're not easy to to cajole. You're not easy to tell something to do anymore. You're already knowing who you are, and you're like
Yes. Like
putting
you're
your
not
boundaries.
receiving what I'm dishing out. You're not receiving it because you know who you are. A lot of times
Exactly.
what I feel like you're trying to say is like
Yeah.
a lot of people tell us things and cause us to do certain things because we're not certain about who we are. But when we are, it's obvious. It's obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Wonderful.
what a wonderful conversation. If you enjoyed our conversation, and if you did and you have comments, please comment below because we want to hear
Oh,
what you
please
have to
do.
say.
Yep.
We definitely want to hear and we will respond. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please join us and hit the like button, hit what's the other button called?
The subscribe
It's
button,
the
the like
subscribe button.
button,
That's
comment,
right.
participate. We welcome your
Yes.
thoughts.
Yes. Indeed, indeed. And so thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to our next conversation. Bye for now.
Yep. Okay.